right, ladies and gentlemen, it is that time. Welcome back for another NASCAR 07 Busch Series race. And tonight we are in race 14 of 35 on the season. Still a little less than halfway through this long stretch of the year. And now it is time, of course, to try to go back to victory lane again. Last night we ended up finishing at Charlotte Motor Speedway in the 4th place position. Tony Stewart finished one spot ahead of us in 3rd. So he was able to actually gain points on us, or I should say pull away a little bit more, as we are still sitting 2nd in the standings. He goes from 16 points up to 21 points up for the start of this race today. We both separated ourselves even further from Jeremy Mayfield, who was 3rd place going into last night's race. I still, at the top of the screen, believe he is remaining in 3rd. So be sure to hit the like button as we get into this one. And as some of the younger YouTubers would say, smash that subscribe button. And we're going to get into this one. We've got Dover here tonight. Dover International Speedway. And it's time to go racing. Ryan Newman on the pole, 200 laps, 200 miles, our scheduled distance this evening. No practice or qualifying. Just like yesterday. Just like yesterday, got to not be too aggressive off the start here. Got to know when to make our passes. It's even more of a narrow track than what we had in our last race yesterday at Charlotte. That was pretty narrow trying to get through the field. Cannot touch that apron here. Oh boy, I slid up the track. Luckily, it was clear. That was close. We were 3 wide getting in. Tony Stewart going to take the lead here in the early laps, and he is going to get 5 bonus points. He led just 1 lap yesterday, but that was enough to get the 5 bonus points today. Lap 2, he's already out in the lead after Ryan Newman from the pole led lap 1. Him having that track position right out of the gate, that's huge for him. Trying to put a gap on the field. That was me. That was me. I got tight. Got tight on corner entry, clipped the 103, and I hit him right in that sweet spot on the right rear corner panel. Honestly, if there was nobody to the outside of me, I definitely would have went straight into the wall. So, kind of lucky there was another car there to catch me. I wouldn't say we bounced off of him gracefully, but... Yeah, Wade, thanks for tuning in. Oh, boy. A stack up there off the exit of the corner. Made 1 pass for position. I don't know what fantasy track is that race on Friday, so that's why I put the TBA in the community tab yesterday when I put the post up. I have no clue what track that is. Oh, Jeff Burton blowing a motor at the bottom of the track. So one of our teammates with an engine failure here in the early going. Burton not having the season that Harvick or Boyer are having right now, who are both in the top 10 in points. Boyer 2nd, Harvick 9th coming into this race. But yeah, I don't know what's after Dodge Raceway. I know it's a fantasy track, but it was hard to tell by the logo exactly which one it is. So it'll be a surprise, really. I think it's Cedar Creek, but I'm not entirely sure. Or Meadow Creek, not Cedar Creek. I think Meadow Creek is the name of the fantasy track I'm thinking of. That triangular one, the half mile. I think that's what it is. But I may be wrong. Bump and run on the 163. Stewart still trying to gap himself at the very front of the field. He had 3 cautions in last night's race. Highly doubt this thing is going to go caution-free. This is a very treacherous racetrack. Corner exit, 3 wide off turn 4. 2 passes made for position there for Clint Boyer. Yep, and then I spun and hit the apron. Stay down, stay down, stay down. Nope, didn't stay down. Just got clipped by one truck in the left, or one car, excuse me, in the left rear. Not in the truck series anymore. 138. Did the same thing as Charlotte last night. The difference is this track is way more narrow, and I got clipped barely on the left rear. I kept it off the wall on the inside, but yeah, that's quite a bit of damage to that left rear corner panel. We're going to have to pit. And the rest of the field will stay out. It's probably going to be a one-stop race today. Can't pit for fuel or tires, bringing out the caution. So an early incident here at Dover. Pants Speedway. Yep, the good old Pants Speedway. I don't think they have the pants like actually on display like they did when it was Levi Strauss Signature Speedway in the other games. I didn't even notice that for like the longest time. I'm like, oh, there's a pair of pants. Like just this, basically like the size of the pylon. There was just pants. And it wasn't a mannequin either. It was just pants. John Fleming, thanks for tuning in. Green flag back in the air. The only car out of the race that we're ahead of right now is Jeff Burton, who blew an engine. So not a great night for RCR out of the gate. Single file restart this time around. Yeah, it's just, I try to be as patient as I can. Sometimes you still clip the apron just because there's not a lot of room. I mean, it's so hard. So hard to try to run that fast line on the bottom, and especially when side by side. So I try not to put myself in too many 3 wide situations just because I know how vulnerable I am down there. Pants are your boxers. Nobody said they were yours. Boyer was able to lead for 25 laps yesterday, despite starting at the tail end of the field. I knew coming into this race it was going to be a lot harder to try to manipulate pass-through lap traffic. 3 wide. A lot of contact there. The car in the middle ended up making contact with the car on the outside as well. There hasn't been like a major stack-up like we usually see at Dover on these restarts either. Didn't have that on the initial start. We were double wide. This restart single file all the way through. I'd imagine we're probably not going to have that issue this time around, but no lap cars, obviously, because of the caution being so early in the race. Right around the same time we had our first caution last night at Charlotte, honestly. Tony Stewart crash. Contact with the 119 car to the outside wall up turn number 4. So Reed Sorensen got around him. I thought it was going to spin out again. It was close. Sometimes you're able to catch it, and sometimes you just don't really have much of a chance to try to catch it. And sometimes it just snaps. You can expect it coming, not because it feels loose and it's a long time for it to snap sideways, but more in the sense that you know it's coming because you clipped the apron. Like, you know that it is a possible outcome. is that it's going to snap. So that's the only way you can hesitate. But you almost have to basically know you're going to hit it and then brace otherwise. Wear sweatpants. Yeah, it definitely wasn't sweatpants. Pair of jeans. Top two cars at the front of the field pulling away. Kind of see that out front of the pack. Clint Boyer up to 26. Hasn't cracked the top 10 yet today. 8th of the way through the race. 25 laps in this time by at the line. Stewart's led all but lap 1, which was led by pole sitter Ryan Newman. 4 seconds off the lead is where Clint Boyer runs currently. Definitely not going to try to force the issue on John Andretti. 3 wide as he was already underneath the 138. Still side by side with him. Boyer slides up the hill getting into turn 1. But the Diamond cut the corner off that time. Luckily, Marvin Schecht in the 192 behind us. Actually, no, that's Boris Said in the number 9. Looked like Schecht for a second. But it is Boris Said. Now Boyer's going to go 3 wide. But the difference with going 3 wide here is he was already there down the straightaway and still made a slight bit of contact. It was still tight. 3 wide at Dover. Not a fun place to be. That's where Miles the Monster is going to jump out and slap you across the face. Front hand, backhand style. Chew you up and spit you out down the back straightaway. Pennsylvania native. Your own state native down there, Michael. And almost a 23 flat that last time. I know I could put down some good lap times when I'm in the open. There's just so much traffic. We've literally had traffic around us every single lap of this race. It has not been a breeze by 30 laps so far. Is that hole going to stay open? It does. I was wondering if Kenny Walsh is going to try to shut the door in the middle of the corner. He did not. Boyer clears him off turn 4 for 13th. About as high as Boyer's been in the running order so far. He's getting very close to getting up inside the top 10 for the first time. I mean, it's going to take me a good 50 laps just to get up to Stewart for the start of the race. The car's got speed. This 1 mile racetrack, that does play into our strength of being a shorter track. There's a 22.997 that last lap. I'd like to think Boyer is going to be the one to beat. As long as we can keep the car clean. Yeah, Burton blew an engine in the opening laps before the first yellow. Boyer down low under Vickers. Vickers gets blocked by the 98 of Crocker. I think he might have lifted in the middle of the straightaway and allows the clearance getting into the corner for the 2. Clint now to the inside of Jeremy Mayfield. Well, the title of the thumbnail, I'm trying to flip the point standings today. And to do that, we'd have to surpass Stewart in points. Well, Tony Stewart's leading all the laps right now. Oh, yeah, near trouble off turn 4, somewhere around the track. There's some scragglers on the back straightaway, or front straightaway, I guess, technically. You can see up on the track map, big gap, middle of the traffic. I would imagine that near wreck happened right around there. Somebody hit the wall off turn 2, and then there was more smoke on the back straightaway. What was a 2-car breakaway at the very beginning of this race now is just a 1-car breakaway as Tony Stewart in that 33 car remains where he's at. And we will swap to Kevin Harvick for our first field pass of the race. Harvick in 14th. And with Burton out, we'll go extra laps with this 29 of Harvick. Try to get him up in the top 10. Don't clip the apron, Keaton. Chicken enchiladas. That's pretty good. I don't know why you say it's my favorite, but they're pretty good. Pretty good. It's up there on like the Mexican cuisine in my ranking list. Honestly, Mexican food-wise, that might be about as good as it gets for me. Like, you can't go wrong with just like a taco, but I feel like it's a little too basic. You can do a lot with it, but yeah, I'd probably throw enchiladas up there. Contact with Vickers getting into turn one. That was all on me. I drove up into him. Harvick under Hornaday. The Kevin Harvick Incorporated Chevrolet. Harvick to 11th. And as we find Bowyer again, he sits in 6th. Right where we left off, trying to get by Dale Jr. for 5th. Kyle Busch was the winner last night at Charlotte, getting his 2nd win of the season. He's the only driver other than Bowyer with multiple wins. Bowyer winning 7 through the first 12. But again, hasn't led in points all season. And that's because the guy leading right now, who hasn't won yet this year, extremely, and I mean extremely consistent. Him leading all these laps and knowing how good I am on the shorter tracks too, I feel like that just... You can see the writing on the wall that Tony Stewart ain't going to win this thing and he's going to run real well again. A lot of smoke on the front straightaway that time. Back straightaway, handful of laps ago. Front straightaway there. I've already had 1 yellow in these first 42 laps. Ryan Berwick, thanks for tuning in. Hot dog casserole. I say no more. I'm out. Actually, I had Coney dogs last night. Oh my gosh, Martin Truex Jr. Flipping the right rear corner panel, Clint Bowyer. Bowyer did not go up the track that time. I think Truex was trying to get himself in line behind the 2, and he almost turned him. I mean, he hooked him up high enough that Bowyer got against the wall, but luckily we didn't make too hard of contact with it. I honestly gracefully hit the wall, considering the angle of impact that the 8 car made with the 2. Bowyer going to try to make the pass on him again. And this time it's clean. I like hot dogs. Just the casserole, the hot dog casserole. Just it sounds unappetizing. In my brain, it makes me kind of think like it's like one of those stews that like witches are like stirring in their pot. It's just got a bunch of just a smorgasbord amount of items in it. Anything and everything. No, there's actually a good like German restaurant in Toledo. I try to get to at least a couple times a year. Got some good like Coney dogs. Anybody from the Toledo area would probably know what I'm talking about. Oh my gosh. Contact with Newman in the 39. That was a combination of him coming down and me sliding up. I definitely didn't hold my line as well as I did with Truex. All right, well, get after this again. Back to 8th for Clint. Greg Biffle crowded him off. I've been a clean pathway to try to get to the front of the field. It has been a long fight. 50 laps in. So much for me getting to Stewart within 50 laps. It's going to be the whole race by this point. Yeah, I might have moved up just barely. It didn't seem like it was Truex where I could clearly see his car kind of pull down into my right rear. But it did seem like he changed his line a bit as I was coming up, and we just kind of met in the middle. I don't know why you keep throwing out a bunch of stuff that like I just like randomly wouldn't like. Trying to start some fake rumors. Trying to start a fight in the chat. As Mike Joy would say, the keyboard warriors are awake and alert. Enough of a run to try to get after Crocker here. Oh, I pushed. Up into Dale Jr. Look out, Greg Biffle split in the middle. I was trying to get to the bottom and out of the way before I got just creamed from behind. This is a disaster of the last, like, dozen laps or so. This is not going by smoothly. Aaron Cracker. I always found it kind of funny that she was in like the Betty Crocker paint scheme with the last name Crocker. Actually, no, now that I think about it, is there any correlation to that? Like, is that her family? Now that I think about it. Maybe that's where she got the sponsorship dollars from. That would make sense. I never would have realized that, but I mean, even if it's not, it's great marketing. Oh my gosh. Sorry, Jeremy. You got the worst of that. Back to 5.3 seconds off the lead again. I'm honestly, the last, like, probably 15 or laps or so of me constantly making contact with cars kind of feels like when I was constantly hitting the apron in the last 20 to 30 laps of the race trying to play catch-up with Kyle Busch, who ended up winning. He was out in front for most of the, well, really most of the race in general, but especially towards the end there, he was really gapping everybody. Dale Jr. getting by Greg Biffle. Yeah, plenty good on fuel to make it on one stop. We've only had one yellow, so that probably saved us 3 laps. Probably 5 laps to the good on each run. So if we get to about 110 to go right around there, I think our window's open if we were to catch a caution. Fake rumor, an oxymoron? I don't think that's how... I don't think that's the, oh boy, definition of that. The person who starts the rumors could be considered a moron. It's my dad joke of the night. I'll be here all week. I had to do my own little two-step on the drums there. The fake drums. I mean, no harm, Wade. Is Denzel Crocker the person who started Betty Crocker? Are you saying I'm driving drunk tonight? I'm just waiting for a day that I'm not really out like night driving or whatever, but if I do happen to randomly come back somewhere, I'm just waiting for the day I get pulled over for potential of like drunk driving, just because I've never drank an ounce of alcohol in my life. just for the hilarity of it. I mean, I guess I kind of... There's speculation of that, because I guess, like, unless I was causing a nuisance on the highway or something, then they're really not going to have a means to pull me over. I was following behind a buddy of mine back when I was in... Well, I might have been just after high school, but right around when I was in high school, I was probably like 18 years old, somewhere around there. Coming back from my buddy's apartment, and me and my one friend, we still lived in the same town, so we drove separately. I was following him back home, and I got pulled over from a sheriff just on a random state route about midnight or so. And I was like, I mean, I was getting to be tired. We were going home. I was planning on going to bed, and that delayed my my bed arrival by about a good 10, 15 minutes, so that kind of frustrated me. But he pulled me over because I was following too close behind the car in front of me. I didn't even tell him that it was him. I just was in an effort to just try to get home as soon as I can because I wanted to go to bed. I'm like following too close behind him. He didn't ticket me, but it's kind of a nonsensical thing to... Should have just said like, oh yeah, that's my buddy. We're coming back from my friend's house. Ideally, that's... he came up to me. I asked him what he pulled me over for, and it's like, you were following the car too close in front of you. So I just wanted to let you know to keep some extra distance between you and the car. I'm like, what? Like, we weren't speeding. Like, it was it's just a normal drive. It's like out of nowhere, I'm getting pulled over. It was weird too, because as he was doing it, I saw him like at the crossroad before that, like a couple roads before that, and I noticed it was a sheriff. Didn't really think anything of it, whatever, I'm not doing anything. And then he just, he pulled in line behind me, a ways back. And as he was like closing in on me, I was like, he's probably going to pull me over, isn't he? And then sure enough, the lights came on. I'm like, he's pulling me over. Oh my gosh, Truex again! That's the second time he's actually pulled down on me. The other guys, it was more my fault. I gotta stay high. I gotta stay against the wall. I didn't want to get creamed. I am not moving up the racetrack on Truex. That is twice he has clipped my right rear corner panel as I was passing him. I think it was in turns 1 and 2 both times also. Tailgating. Well, so here's the thing. I personally didn't think I was following behind him that close. When I say I was following him home, I just so happened to be on the road behind him. I didn't personally think I was riding his ass. Like, I just thought I had a normal space between me and the car in front of me. I'd like to think that he was... I mean, it was late at night. It might have been during the week, too, but my buddy that we went over to his house with, he was working on the weekends. So that could have been, it's just like, oh, it's a peculiar time, middle of the night, middle of the week, for somebody to be driving out on the road. Nobody out here. I don't know. I'm spitballing here. Because I didn't personally think I was tailgating behind him. Ryan Newman trying to pinch Clint Boyer down. He didn't turn me like Truex did there. Pass made for 5th. Back to 5.5 seconds behind Tony Stewart again. Lap 73. I still don't know who Denzel Crocker is. Oh! And I pushed. Tailgaters within 2 car lengths. Well, I guess if that is the rule by that, I guess. I've had people on my ass when I'm driving, back from work on the highways all the time. They don't get pulled over. I don't know, whatever. Whatever. It's in the past. This was like 7 years ago at least. It irritated me that night, though, just because it's like, man, I just want to go to bed. Like, what are we doing here? How do we find ourselves here? I'm not doing anything. I'm a safe driver, all right? Never been in an accident. I abide by the rules of the road. I'm doing all the right things, supposedly, for what I thought. In PA. I mean, that probably is the case. I mean, I know it's state-by-state thing, but I guess if that is, it's probably something I learned in driver's ed that I just kind of forgot about. But I drive a nice enough car. I don't want to be following somebody close anyway, intentionally. Well, I guess at that time I didn't have the same car I have now, but still, it's like, he could see it, especially like where I live. Like, we get a lot of deer out in the country and stuff. If anything, I really don't want to be close to the person in front of me because they might slam on the brakes randomly because they see a deer. Like, that's a normal thing where I live. So I definitely would like to think I wasn't, on his ass. And passing Kenny Walls a couple cars ago, he just passed lapper Paul Menard as well. Got us to third. We are at lap 80. And we are within 10 to 20 laps of our pit stop. Clint Boyer has not led in this race today. Tony Stewart's led all but lap 1. So he's pretty much well on his way to leading the most laps here in this one. I don't think we're going to get to him before we get to those pit stops either. So Picker's going to have to be on it so we don't lose time like we did in the first stop at Charlotte yesterday. And this is just a simple one-stop race. Like a lot of the truck races we had. It's kind of fitting, though, because that's the same distance of the truck race here as what we have for this Busch race tonight. I don't even know who's in second place, to be completely honest. No idea who would be in second. See people on the brakes for freaking squirrels. I mean, to be I wouldn't. I am pretty aware with my surroundings when I'm driving. Like, I know when there's somebody. Oh my gosh, somebody behind me. And then, so like I know to be like considerate on the brakes, like if I'm not on the highway or something and I'm turning. Like, unless of an emergency where I have to get on the binders, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm not braking heavily, for squirrels. But my car does sit low to the ground. And it's a nice car, and I don't want to damage it in any way. So I've swerved for animals. I've swerved for, like, raccoons and stuff. I'm not trying to blow out my right front fender. Thank you very much. I had a string of a couple months ago. It was like the beginning of the summer. So probably about 3-4 months ago, somewhere around there, May, June-ish. I had like a streak within the span of like 2 weeks that I almost hit like 4 different animals on my way into work in the morning. I'm like, what is going on here? I had a raccoon, I had a possum, and there were 2 cats. And the one cat I actually did hit, unfortunately. I did hit the one cat. There was no way for me to dodge it. I was just trying to catch it in the middle of my car, and then I heard it. I heard it hit underneath the car, and then I looked out of the rearview mirror and I saw it tumbling, and I was like, oh boy. But then I kind of saw it like scurry after it tumbled, which also I was frightened for. I kind of wish if I hit it, I just killed it. Hopefully it didn't have like any serious injuries and just kind of limped off to the side of the road. I was like, oh boy. So that wasn't a good start to my morning that morning. No damage to the car, though, so, I mean, that's good. But for me, feel bad for whoever's cat that was. It's out in the middle of nowhere, by the way, so, I mean, there's a couple houses I could have assumed it could have been, like, their cat, but I don't know. I hadn't seen it before. But yeah, it was like within the span of like 4 work days in a row or something, like between the 2 weeks. It's kind of getting into that rhythm of like, I wonder what I'm going to have to dodge on the way to work today. Luckily, the streak stopped after so long. But yeah, you drive a truck. Oh, I mean, I'm sure if I did, I'd be in that same boat. My car sits so low to the ground. I don't feel like pulling out the old wallet to make any repairs at all. If I damage it, I'm getting it repaired right away. I'm not driving around with a dent in my right front. A gaudy car. A nice car that looks gaudy, I should say. I ain't doing that for my own sake. Porcupine as a pet. I don't think I've ever seen a porcupine before. Maybe at like a zoo. I don't even know if we get those in Ohio, to be completely honest. I couldn't tell you. I definitely haven't seen one. The right side tire's in the yellow on the tire wear indicator. Getting close to our first pit stop of the race. Clint Bowyer going to try to take the lead away from Tony Stewart as he drives up to second past Mark Martin. Bit of a gap before that next group of lappers. Bowyer looking low off turn 4. Stewart has led 92 consecutive laps. Bowyer overdrove the corner. More contact with Stewart. Ay, ay, ay. I'm pushing tight as this run's going on. And ain't going to get the lead before pit stops. That's unfortunate, man. I made the mistake on Stewart, and I was still trying to catch the car as Martin got to my outside trying to pass me. And usually you see somebody out of shape like that, I think the last thing you would do would be try to pass them on the outside on a short track as they're sideways. But, you know, whatever. Maybe that's why Mark Martin never won a Cup Series championship. Dumb decisions like that. All right, back into second again. I didn't lose as much time as I had earlier in the race when I caught myself in those instances. We're definitely going to have to repair damage on pit road. And Stewart's coming into the pits right now, so his streak at 94 consecutive laps led will end. Clint Bowyer will take his first lead of the race, and that's 5 bonus points, which in case I don't get to the lead the entire second half of the race, it's good that we finally led. I'm definitely not short pitting here. I'm going to take this run as far as we can because I don't want that second caution to come out, trap me a lap down. If anything, if we could trap Tony Stewart a lap down, that would be our key to trying to get into the points lead. Assuming that we obviously finish this race out. Taylor Gray joins Xfinity Series full-time. Yeah, I did see that for next year. I'm shocked of all the part-time drivers that have driven in the Xfinity Series at JGR this year that he was one that got a full-time ride. I was not expecting it whatsoever. You know, you would think like maybe Ryan Truex has won 2 races in the handful of races he's ran. Won one last year. You know, maybe Eric Almirola wants to run full-time again, even though I know he probably doesn't. You know, he's won in that car. I mean, Taylor Gray's had decent runs in that car this season. Like, he's able to keep speed in it, but I do think it is, you know, far and away the best team, JGR, in the Xfinity Series from top to bottom that there is. So being in the best equipment, I would hope you can run halfway decent. So quite a few cars have pit. Obviously a little over half a second lead over Mark Martin, who is in second place still. And we've got more pitting this time. That includes second place Mark Martin behind us. That first lap car in front of us pits as well. So Boyer's still running out on the racetrack. Cub is a pet. What, do you think I live in Russia? Just have bears as pets? I'm a Packers fan. Why would I want a bear as a pet? That doesn't make any sense. Did hit a coyote. Oh, boy. Didn't see that commenter. I mean, they could be kind of smaller, I guess. Rather have a dog. Oh, yeah, for sure. Boyer's got a one-lap lead on the field here as he continues to log in laps led. This clean racetrack, he's still running fast times, lighter fuel load. Ran a 22.876 that last time. It was the fastest lap of the race for the two. Fresher tires, you would imagine Tony Stewart's able to run just a little bit quicker. Definitely smaller after I hit it. Jeez. Downsized quite a bit, I hear. Had babies, too. Went from coyote to coyotes. Hit the damn thing and made it plural. All right, on to pit road. 4 tires, full tank of gas, no adjustments, even though it was kind of snug there towards the end of the run. Probably could have made a slight adjustment. Knowing it was the only stop of the race, so I didn't want to risk it and then be too loose early in the run and suffer the consequences there. So I think if we just keep the car cleaner, we'll be okay. Easier said than done. Had a fair share of contact here today. Paused it at the right time. There's Tony Stewart. Him pitting over 10 laps before us. Will cycle him into the lead and a little hit from behind there. We're getting up to speed. Jimmy Johnson, I believe, in the 48. Getting right into the back bumper of the 2. Well, that'll free us up. So you didn't need to make an adjustment. I did have a little bit of my car above the apron. I wasn't trying to blend, but I also didn't lift when I was down on the apron. And I kind of just washed up there, and sure enough, there Johnson was trying to apex his corner right as I was in that particular spot at that time. Actually kind of hit me square, which is why the car didn't really jump sideways on me, despite being in the middle of the corner. Definitely slowed Johnson up quite a bit. Less than 80 laps left as we stay green here at Dover. 4 seconds off the race lead from Stewart. I'd imagine Mark Martin back into second again. They're trying to make some passes as he works by John Andretti in the 10. Pony Hero Horse. I don't plan on it. I personally have never been one to like want to farm as I get older. That's not the farming type, you know. I wouldn't be opposed to like living in the country, but just for privacy's sake. The introvertedness in me would maybe even prefer that to a certain extent, but yeah, minus the farm. Look like a farmer. I do probably get that quite a bit, especially if I'm wearing flannel. I could see that. It's just the beard. It literally is the beard. I don't know if it's because it's red. Like, why people think that. They also probably think that just because I watch NASCAR, I think, stereotypically speaking. Like, everybody, like, I've encountered that knows of the music I listen to or find out about the music I listen to, they'll be like, oh, I would have guessed you listen to country. I'm like, oh, because I like NASCAR. I see where you're going with. There's other music out there, you know. That apron again there. We're good, though. Trying to fight our way through this traffic as best as we can. .7 seconds off the lead. Kevin Harvick up there. He must be a lap down then. I didn't even realize we got up to second place and passed Mark Martin through all that traffic. Wasn't really focused in on the drivers as much as I was just trying to pass them. Make efficient, clean passes, but Martin was passed. And so up to second again for the driver, the number 2. We continue to just try to play catch up on Tony Stewart. 79 laps to go. Caution. With 79 laps left, the caution flag is out for the second time today, and our green flag run of over 100 laps will come to an end as the 120 has crashed. Looked like in turns 1 and 2, I do believe. Yep. Couldn't tell how it started. Just saw the finish of it where he had backed it into the wall. Came down the track, but luckily cars behind him able to check up in time, so just a single car incident. Everybody well within the fuel window. Well, as I say that, we're going to be in the lead because it looks like everybody behind us pit. Oh boy. Green flag back in the air. Boyer gets the launch on the restart. And now he's on older tires. Big block to the outside as he tries to hold on to the lead. Well, the good news is we have the track position. Stewart's already clinched the most laps led, so not really racing for any more bonus points. We already led laps before this. Just at this point trying to control our own destiny. And obviously we're out of the eye of the storm in the heat of that double wide traffic with all the lap cars. Cars on fresh tires behind the number 2. It's definitely a bit concerning. No clue exactly where Tony Stewart restarted. We don't even know that everybody didn't pit. I definitely know, obviously we saw Tony Stewart pit. He was in the lead and isn't anymore. Kyle Lance, thanks for tuning in. I see the new name. I'm actually kind of surprised that I still see like Wade in the chat before the name change. You would kind of think that you changed the profile that you would see all the changes in the chat too, like all the messages prior. $70 to go. Well, we're going to try to make this thing hard to pass as much as possible. I'll tell you what, despite how old my tires may be, which they're really not that old, about 20 to 25 laps older than everybody that pit, I think this is salvageable. Not having any of that lap traffic in front of us is huge also. As Mark Martin's going to continue to try to put pressure. I am a little scared, though, that if I get past, I may never see the lead again. In that instance, I may have to put myself back in traffic. I really don't want to do that because of how hard it was just to get to the lead. We didn't lead it all up until green flag pit stops because Tony Stewart pitted before us. If he had not done that, this would be the first time we'd lead off a strategy in this race. We never actually caught Stewart a raw speed at any point. See some smoke there on the front stretch. You get a caution for. We saw that handful of times from the last restart. See if we stay green here. We still have one more field pass to get through at some point. Not sure when I want to do that. I'm liking the clean air the way we're seeing it right now at the moment. Our bottom lane was open just a smidge off turn 2. No advancement, though, by Mark Martin. Big slide. Somehow kept it off the wall on the bottom of the racetrack, but the lead is lost. And Mark Martin's out in front for the first time tonight. Oh, my gosh. I don't know how I didn't completely spin out there. That might be the first time I've ever clipped it, snapped sideways like that, and didn't actually spin all the way around. Got those cat-like reflexes. Should use that in my commentary next time I see a save in a NASCAR race. He saved it! Like a feline! Only car we got passed by was a lapper. Tony Stewart is in third. And we definitely know he's on fresh tires. Not 100% certain about Mark Martin, but we definitely know Stewart is, and Stewart now right behind the two. Kevin Harvick a lap down in 26th. Hornaday blocking his owner. Hornaday in the Kevin Harvick Incorporated 33, and Kevin Harvick, the guy right behind him, trying to make the pass for position. Unless they're not on the same lap, which could be the case. There's a drive off turn 4. Harvick timed it out, gets to the inside of Ron Hornaday, 3 wide, very tight into the corner. Both those passes were made on cars not on the same lap. Casey Mears, that was on the outside, and Ron Hornaday in the middle. Caution. Trouble, it looks like off of turn 2. Our second yellow of the race, and it's Tony Stewart. The points leader has crashed. Honestly, he very barely hit the wall. He tagged it with the right rear quarter panel. Speed should still be in it, although he flipped yesterday and he still finished third. So I don't think that really means anything at this point. But second night in a row, Tony Stewart has spun from the top 3. Smoke coming from nobody in front of you guys. It's from drivers behind us. The track is so small. We were able to see it a lot sooner. I think Stewart actually just pit again, because he is not up in the top couple positions anymore. Nice 3-wide pass on the restart for Harvick. Races his way under Boyer. There's no way he DNF from that small of a hit into the wall. Like how he does it from flipping, but would there. 3 wide and tight. We've got another crash, this time down in turn 1 around Kevin Harvick. 3 wide off into the corner, and it didn't work. 29 hung up on the 57, and cautions are bringing cautions here late at Dover. Our third yellow in the span of about 20 laps or so. And our 4th of the race. I don't know how many cars are a lap down. It's going to put Harvick back in traffic. Luckily, our driver, Clint Boyer, escaped through it all on the bottom, but stinks for the driver of the 29. Good for Tony Stewart that he's got a chance to capitalize again. I think I see him up there. Hard to tell how many cars he's got between him and the lead, but could hurt his finishing position, dropping him back in traffic. Green flag back in the area from 22nd to 40th on the restart for Harvick. 51 laps to go here at Dover. And obviously we see Tony Stewart back here on the lead lap line of cars as he quickly gets to the bottom in front of the 29. Oh boy. Oh, contact, Stewart in the middle. 119 bounced off the wall and right into him. Everybody stacking up. 50 laps to go. Martin continues to lead at the front of the field. This pack is stacked right now. So we'll transfer out to Clint Boyer in the 2. Who was stuck on the outside in the second place position, trying to get to the bottom. Found a hole as he cuts John Andretti's runoff. Still looking to the bottom under Ty Kluver. As Martin leads, he does get to the inside as well, trying to get by the lappers. Few in front of him. 3 wide, nearly. As Martin heads right back up at the front of the field. As far as leading the pack of the lap cars now. Boyer in second, really trying to capitalize off of this opportunity with Stewart spinning out and losing track position. A run, a car got underneath Boyer, middle of the corner. Slides up the track, cleared the car he was trying to pass. Enough straightaway speed on the exit of turn 4, pulls back to the bottom into 1 and 2. 45 laps to go and trying to put a challenge to that of Mark Martin. Martin not going to make this pass easy. But he gets loose. Off turn 4. Big mistake. And Boyer's out in front. Combination of Martin getting loose and the fastest lap of the race by Boyer allows him to get to the lead. And another fastest lap, 22.8 flat. We're definitely racing tonight. I'm scared Tony Stewart's got so much fresher tires than the rest of the field. He's got a lot of cars to pass, though. With an even amount of lap cars and lead lap cars, he's literally at the tail end of the field, even though position-wise he'd be technically in the top half. Clean air advantage for Boyer. Last 3 laps, all his fastest of the race. To 22.775 that last time, even. Four in a row, 22.739. From here, the crew chief there, Mark Martin down on the bottom. Boyer having to give the room up. Looking for the crossover off turn 2. What a move. Pulled right back to the inside again. Clear, clean pass, great battle at the front of the field. Boyer, Martin. Martin trying to go for win 2. Boyer for win 8. And Boyer looking for that first points lead of the season. .39 laps left in this race at the line. The way the cautions have flown out in the second half of this one, I don't know that we've seen the last yellow or not, but we can hope. I don't want to have to deal with any more restarts or give Tony Stewart a better opportunity of trying to get by cars and gain in the running order, even if he doesn't get to us, just for the lone sake that we could possibly take the points lead. Remember, Tony Stewart is going to go on to lead the most laps in this race, so he's going to have 10 bonus points to our 5. So if he finished 1 position behind us, it would basically negate that, and we'd end up not gaining any points on him today. Unless, of course, we won, then it's a 10-point gap between first and second, which is bigger than any other position-to-position gap in the points at the end of the race. .35 laps to go. Just imagine all those laps led for Tony Stewart just be running in second place and spinning out. Putting himself back in traffic and maybe cost himself a chance at his first win of the season yet again. Obviously, this being a shorter track, we know the next race will be a short track at Dodge Raceway and perhaps even the next 2 races after that. I know 2 races after that is Milwaukee. I don't know about after Dodge Raceway. I would assume it is of the fantasy tracks. But it was tough to tell for sure. We're not really going to know until we finish that race off tomorrow at the Dodge Raceway. R.I.P. Liam Payne. I'm not aware who that is. Is that another hockey coach I should know about? I haven't gotten over that yet. That was bad on my behalf. Be like another former Red Wings great I don't know about. I'll watch that in my rear view just to see if I notice like a red car back there. It's hard to tell because they're so distant. I can't do that. Clip the apron slightly, but nothing major. One Direction member. Yeah, I don't really listen to them, so I didn't know that. But they're pretty young though, aren't they? Yeah, it was like what my sister listened to when she was a little kid. I don't think they're that old. I don't know the details on this, so I'm gonna not comment any further. Other than the fact that well wishes are with his family. I didn't even know who he was until just 2 minutes ago either. But yeah, I don't really pay attention to like the news at all either, so I've mentioned this before, you know, pop culture wise, like I'll see something like on my phone, obviously if something goes viral for, you know, better or for worse, that I'll stumble across something like that, which I'm sure that this would probably be a viral thing. I just haven't been on my phone, so if it's something that's happened in the last couple hours, yeah, I have zero clue. 22.713, fastest lap of the race. Actually, really allowed myself to put about 3 to 4 car lengths between us and Mark Martin. Boyer tries to seal this thing. We didn't have the fastest car today. I think that easily was Tony Stewart, but he spun out while running in second, all on his own, and here we are running our fastest laps again in the late going. Only driver within any sort of reasonable shot of catching us for the win without a caution is Mark Martin. Unless Tony Stewart can rocket forward further on those fresher tires still. And the big question is, will Boyer be able to take the points lead for the first time today? Knowing that Tony Stewart has 5 more bonus points than we will at the end of the race because he led the most laps. We win, we'll be at 185 points. 170 for second. So basically, he would have to finish 4th or worse with us having a win for us to take the points lead. Well, no, because he's got the 5 extra bonus points. So 5th or worse for us to take the points lead with us getting a win. So it'll be interesting to see. If he finishes 5th, we'd have a 4-point lead going into tomorrow night's race. If anything higher than 5th, he will still have the points lead yet again. The gap will be narrowed. He finishes outside of 2nd. I don't see him catching Mark Martin, at least without a yellow as well. I was thinking if he wasn't like 4th or 5th right now, we caught a caution, and he'd be like right there on fresher tires than everybody else with like 16 to go. That would be the pathway to him getting his first win of the season. Definitely the harder way of doing it than running 2nd before his spin, but who knows? We'll see. Stephen Hoot, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully you're having a great day too. I just want to get to that white flag before something silly happens. For not having the fastest car in the field, this just doesn't... Something feels off. 12 to go. Just got off of work. Well, you're just in time for the finish. Might be a little anticlimactic. Maybe in the driver of this 2 car right now. I'm really hoping that it is. I mean, the last restart when we were in the lead, I took off pretty well, so... Now we don't have to worry about the lap cars to the inside either that were down to 10 laps to go, so it'd be just one single file line. All the lap cars will be behind the lead lap cars. May make it easier for us, although if Martin gets a good enough of a launch, it could be easier for him. Situation since the very beginning of the race, and I wasn't in the lead for that, so... Haven't seen it yet. Start having that issue and leading as many laps as we have at the end. Going to help the laps led total, at least for the season statistics side of things. Not that I haven't led a lot of laps this year, but makes my performance today look a lot better than what it may have looked for those of you that have been watching this entire race from start to finish. 7 to go. Clearly not going to catch any more lappers. When that last restart, took place. Just over a second lead right now. Still just slowly pulling away from Mark Martin. Martin's put a gap over 3rd. At this point, these are quick laps this late in the race, but agonizingly slow for Clint Boyer. Five laps left. Again, we are guaranteed one green, white checker restart if we were to get a yellow before the white flag. No cautions on the final lap on this game. So if there was another incident somewhere around the track, we would have to race through it and race to the checker. Quarter of a tank of gas left as we just got into turns 1 and 2 with 4 to go. Obviously plenty good on gas to the finish. It was an easy one-stop race. Some chose to pit a second time with the second yellow that came out with 79 laps to go. Nobody had pitted in the 2 cautions after that, other than Stewart, who had spun out, causing one of those yellows. Time always drags when you're in the lead, yeah, especially like this, when you're not, like, in the heat of battle. For sure. A lot of double wide, nearly 3 wide in that pack just up ahead. Worked their way up off the exit of turn 2. I just need them to make it one more corner. We'll get to the white flag before they get into 1 and 2, or at least as they're getting in. Boyer gets his way off turn 4. White flag, 1 to go. There we go. 1.4 second lead. I almost clipped that apron. Oh, that would have been terrible. I got out of the gas and just went straight. I let out of the gas, kind of let the steering wheel take itself up the racetrack. That would have been a way to throw this one away. Glad I didn't do that though. Checkered flag for Clint Boyer as he wins this race. Tony Stewart does come back to finish in 4th, so he will still be the points leader. But the gap has narrowed once again. Bounce back. He beat us yesterday, 3rd over a 4th. Today, we beat him a 1st over a 4th, so take it. Again, 8 wins already for Clint this season. We're racking them up in that statistic, and going to the Dodge Raceway tomorrow, we should be the fastest there with it being a flatter, shorter track. 104 laps led for Tony Stewart tonight. Again, most laps led, 4th place finish for him. We led 71 en route to our victory. Stewart also started in the 5th place position. Mark Martin finishes 2nd, Kenny Wallace 3rd, Tony Stewart again in 4th. Ryan Newman, who started on the pole, led only the 1st lap, rounds out the top 5 and 5th. Martin Truex Jr., we had our run-ins with him. He started 6th, finished 6th. Aaron Crocker led a lap, finished 7th. J.J. Yaley 8th, Dale Jr. 9th, and Brian Vickers rounds out our top 10. 20 cars finished on the lead lap. Our teammates today, Kevin Harvick, lap down in 34th. Last place finish for Jeff Burton. He was the first driver that blew an engine back on lap 6. H. Flanagan blew a motor at lap 66. Boris said at lap 115. Those are the 3 drivers at DNF tonight, and the only 3. 4 cautions, 19 lead changes, average race speed of 130.78 miles per hour, a 1.4 second margin of victory, 1 hour, 31 minutes, and 45 seconds our total elapsed time from the original drop of the green flag to where we were at the finish. All right. 300 laps, Dodge Raceway. Again tomorrow, our 2nd race there in this Busch Series season in just the first 15 races. Kind of weird that we're going to the same track more than once this early in the year, but we are. And it is another fantasy track, of course. So as mentioned, with the 4th place finish, Tony Stewart still has the lead. Gained 15 points on him with this race win. Go from 21 back to 6. And this is as close as we've been to the points lead all season now. So 6 points back. 480 over third Jeremy Mayfield. That's insane. Oh man, even Aaron Crocker 554 back. We're so early in the season for these guys to be that far back at points. So that's just how strong these top two have been. Again, I have 8 wins now in the year. 8 wins, 11 top 5s, 12 top 10s, and after leading 71 laps tonight, that gets us up over 1,100 laps led in these first 13 races this year. Our average finish after tonight will be below an 8th place average finish. So solid there, but Tony Stewart still leading in points despite being winless on the year. That'd be insane if he just wins the title despite going winless too. He's on pace for it. He's had the points lead for at least 10 races now. He's had it since at least the 4th race of the year, so crazy. Sure to hit the like button again if you haven't done so yet. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content, and that will be back again tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Eastern start time yet again. Dodge Raceway, that 300 lapper. Another shorter race, kind of like tonight for the Busch Series side of things, and hope to see you then. Thanks for watching. Have a good rest of your Tuesday. Man, I forgot what day it was. Have a good rest of your Wednesday, everybody.